Hello again, it's really good to see you. I'm just gonna have to leave a disclaimer that this is my last video for the winter break. I might be able to make videos during my next semester, maybe not. But until then, let's just enjoy this video and make the best out of it. Hello everyone, I'm Mustafa Gharib and welcome to another episode of whatever this is. And yet again, we're going to be talking about Linux. I am joined by my little cat, Boussi. Hi. Hi. And I guess this will be your reward for staying tuned all this time. Thank you all for, watching my videos. I mean, I don't get a lot of views. I don't get like more than 30, but that's more than enough for me. I don't want to be getting millions of views. No, please don't. Please don't. I'm not ready for that kind of popularity. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a feature that basically comes with Linux when you have to play games on Steam. And this feature is called Proton. Now, Proton, as far as I know, is a version of Wine that Valve has personally procured for its games on Steam. And there's several variations of Proton, which are, I guess, some of which that I do know are Proton GE, Proton, the glorious eggroll fork of Proton, and Proton TKG. Now, without getting into a lot of detail, I just want to talk about how Proton has been getting better recently with games. Like recently, the most recent version of Proton that came out so far, and it has been long awaited before then, which is Proton 7.0. Proton GE beat them to the chase by creating a version of Proton without having to take a page from the book of Valve's Proton itself. It might look weird, but Proton GE 7.1 came out before Valve's Proton 7.0 came out. I mean, it might kind of sound confusing and weird for everyone, but when you look up the release notes on GitHub, you find that it tells you which games got fixed and which games got better and whatnot, so that's all pretty great and dandy. I feel like a lot more games have been now capable of not just simply running, but actually working and being playable on Linux now, including a game that I actually really love called Magica. This game was borked for several years and several versions of Proton until I think a 6 point something, like one of the versions of Proton 6.3 managed to fix Magica and make it playable again. I don't know if the same will be done to other borked games like Fall Guys and Rainbow Six Siege and PUBG, all of which I think rely somehow on easy anti-cheat, which I guess is still facing problems with Proton. I'm not sure how that will go. If anything I learned from using Linux has proven anything, is that Proton is continually improving, getting better, finding hotfixes for more games and whatnot, and it's all pretty good. Now, even with the more recent versions of Proton 7.0 has actually managed to fix the original Skyrim's audio synchronization, which is great. Of course, it's great news. It's great news to anyone who plays Skyrim on Linux that the audio got synced again. Also, in the greater scheme of things, you realize that with these fixes coming out for each game, I guess the experience of using Linux becomes better and better. Even games that rely on, let's say you're playing a game on Steam and it relies on another launcher because it belongs to either Origin or something that relies also on Uplay because you also got Rainbow Six Siege and the Assassin's Creed games and whatnot. With each version coming out, you can actually find that the compatibility is getting better for these games. It gets you excited whenever, at least it gets me excited whenever I open GitHub to check the new version of Proton GE, and I find that there's a new release. And when I look up the hotfixes they made and the release notes concerning certain games that I actually played, it gets me really excited because I realize, well, this makes my gaming experience on Linux much better. But of course, there are still mishaps that I have to go through every time I run a game on Proton, because since it's Proton, it's basically a compatibility layer that is not an emulator. Let's just agree that Wine does not emulate Windows. It's just a compatibility layer that allows Windows applications to run on Linux. Wine is basically what makes Proton work. Proton actually is based on Wine, and thus it has to do what Wine does. So I faced some problems playing Assassin's Creed Origins because every time I had to close the game, I had to kill it through the Steam launcher because it would never close on its own. Like if I quit the game and I leave it like that, it does not consider itself stopped on the Steam launcher, which kind of makes me afraid that one day I might not find my save files anymore because of something like that. It really freaks me out. This still isn't like, this is still a minor issue. This is the stuff that just makes you like mildly infuriated until another fix comes up and fixes it all. But it's just this kind of, I would consider the bugs related to Proton just mildly infuriating. I wouldn't consider them capable of breaking your gaming experience or making your gaming experience even worse. But then again, I am a Linux user and I have to deal with the fact that at this point I am using a compatibility layer to enable myself to play Windows games on Linux, which to Windows itself is not supposed to happen. So to me, it is accepted and expected for there to be mishaps and bugs that just make you at least a little bit infuriated about your gaming experience. But a lot of them just, most of them just aren't game breaking, and the rest of them are just, you know, your board games. Of course, some of us at least have a bunch of board games on their Steam account. So until a fix comes up for that, well, you're just gonna have to deal with not being able to play them for a while. But you go ahead and do you. Just go ahead and dual boot if you want, and you can play your board games on Windows instead. That doesn't make them bad. It's just that it just so happens that anti-cheat really ruins the gaming experience for everyone and borks a lot of games. If you want a game and you're afraid some of your games are going to be borked on Linux, just go ahead and use Windows. But please don't use the age-old argument of Windows does video gains, because Linux also does video gains. Because as I mentioned before, on Linux, I used much less resources just to run games. Free performance boost. Because the entire OS is free. God damn it, how many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's been great shooting this video. I feel like I don't have much of the energy anymore to work on videos like this. I mean, it all started from a spark when I worked on the first Linux video, but then again, I feel like I'm gonna have to really work on scripts. I'm personally tired of making these, you know, unscripted videos and just winging my way through the videos. But next time I will try to prepare more scripted content, probably like Play-Doh for Children, the skit that I worked on recently. And I'll try my best to make more content in the coming months, even though I have uni and I have to focus on my studies. I'll do my best. Thank you all for watching. If you like this, go ahead and like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. And if you want to see more of my content, you can go ahead and subscribe. You know, you don't get anything. You don't get an award for subscribing, but just please subscribe. Please. All right, this has been me, Mustafa Gharib, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. Based on that's a long V.